Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Today we're going to be discussing the futures signals from AltSignals and also discuss the news in Ethereum. And as always, if you could like, subscribe and hit that notification bell, and let's get started. Okay, so we're on the Ethereum chart here, 15 minutes, Ethereum USDT perpetual futures on Binance. And you can see this is the current chart for Ethereum. So what we're going to quickly look at today is a few things. One, the alt trader indicator that we have, where it actually placed a long or a buy signal, where our signal came through on the Binance futures, and look at the points in terms of where the profit was taken and over a time how long that took. So before we get started, let's have a look down here. So you can see there is a long signal, and this was done on the 29th of April at 10:30. So this was the signal that came up. We are on power 100. As you can see, there are no other signals up to today's date. So what I want to just quickly show you is if you would have had the indicator and we would have been running from the 29th of April, you could have got up to gains of 16%. Now, if you're on a 10x leverage, you can imagine there over a course of 3 days, it could have been up quite a hefty amount. In terms of our signals, so the Binance Future signals that we offer, we can see here that the message came in on the 2nd of May around 4 p.m. and this would have been your buy-in point here. So this was at 2919, and then we had two take profit points and a stop loss. So the stop loss was down here at 286, and then the first take profit was in at 2954, and the final take profit at 3012.22. It was the signal itself lasted just under 12 hours. I think it's 11 hours and 58 minutes. So you can see here in terms of if you would have jumped in when the signal came through, and pretty much at this point here, you would have taken your full profit. Now again, there has been an additional 6% up for grabs during that time. So as you can see, the signals are perfect. The alt trader indicator is also perfect in terms of the length of this 4-day, 3-day stint. In terms of the amount that you could have done. Now the signals itself was on a 50x leverage, so the gain in terms of getting in at 2919 and getting out at 312 was over 200% profit margin that you would have received. So that's a huge gain. So hopefully you jumped on that signal when it came through on the futures signals and rode it up until the 312 at least. And as you can see now, we're going to kind of see a little bit of a dip. We're going to go through some fib retracement now and kind of get an outlook on where we're heading, and then we'll jump into some news on Ethereum as well. Now currently we are sitting at 3124 and we're on the 15-minute chart as we were before. So what we want to look at here is where we see this heading over the next maybe couple of days as well. So we have broken through the 236 and potentially this is our next support at 382. So right now we seem to be heading back up against the 236. I suppose at this point now we're going to see whether or not this plays a support or resistance. If we get a little closer, I mean again this is on the 15-minute chart, so we can only kind of judge on smaller time frames with this, but essentially we could see the next, depending on whether or not this bar or the next bar closes above the 236 will depend on whether or not we're going to see potentially it try and test the top resistance that we've already hit back at 8 o'clock. So maybe we could see that potentially come back up round about on the 4th of May. We've got a bit of time here to kind of see where this is heading, but as it stands now, we can see that the last time we actually tested anything was around the 2nd of May, and we broke through the 0.786. We kind of came up close to the 618, dropped down, the 786 played as support, and then we finally broke through the 618. Next level was the 0.5, and you can see here there was a lot of resistance initially, and then we broke through again, and again we see here the actual resistance player here, and then we fire that up to the 3.382. So there was a huge spike here, and then we finally got to the 3,200 mark. So as we can already see here now, it's coming above the 236. So potentially now if this closes on this, which we've got a minute left on this candle, what we could potentially see is, let me just bring this up here, is something like this, and maybe we test a little bit here before we break through. I suppose what we kind of need to see is we've kind of broke through only two candles closed below the 236, and if this now closes above the 236, what we should see is some kind of, essentially we either want to be leveling off here, because now I'm going to see this as resistance around about here. So let's get rid of that, and let's put in a line here. So this would be my resistance line, and we have had the candle close above the 236. So now what we should see is a potential move upwards. So let me just get the trend line and even bring it from here. So pop that there. Now let me get rid of this drawing, and here. So what we will see now is this line, I reckon, get tested first, and we're even going to get a breakout, and we're going to go above 3k now. Maybe my prediction is, I'll just show you where I feel like is a good point for the next step. For me, is around about here. So what I would expect now is that we test this level of resistance that we saw, and if we, again, a candle closes above this, the next step for me would be the initial resistance here, and then again if candle closes above that, then I'd be looking at around about 3.2. So I would still say that there is potential to get in now and look for some gains. So this in itself 0.8, so there's another 2% gain there potentially as well, and if what I'm predicting is a 3.63% move over the next day and a half, let's say. So do your own TA on this. Again, this is what I kind of see happening, and the fact that we should kind of follow this uptrend. If we look on the 4 hour, and let me just get rid of all this. If we look on the 4 hour now, we can see here that potentially we might start to see some consolidation here, but realistically the way that this is heading, and this is from the 25th of April, the way this is heading is I don't see this stopping anytime soon. Again, for me it'd be 3.2, and again if we look at the fib retracement, so again realistically we could come anywhere around here, so we've got a lot of wiggle room to work with here, but that is my take on where we should be heading for Ethereum over the next couple of days. Finally, ETH is over $3,000, We're sitting at a market cap of 366 billion. That's put the market at 2.2 trillion. We're nearly at 2.3 trillion. And obviously, this has surged massively over the last 7 days. You can see here on the top 4 coins. What's also interesting is the NFT market. I found a little article here from CNN Business, which is that the non-fungible tokens primarily use the Ethereum cryptocurrency for purchasing NFTs. And one of the NFT pieces sold by the artist Beeple, that sold for nearly $70 million. So there has been a huge surge in NFTs, which has made a lot more people essentially purchase the products that are available on the market, and they're using Ethereum to buy those NFTs as well. So that's interesting. Who would have thought that NFTs would have played such a big part? But they're here to stay, and they're continuously growing as well. Obviously, we've hit the beacon chain for Ethereum 2.0, which was back in February. Hopefully, we'll see the shard chains come through on the back end of the year, and then docking at beginning mid 2022. So there is a lot coming out at the moment in terms of news for Ethereum. It's obviously all hype because it's broken new records, so a lot more people are jumping on in the market as well. So we should see a further surge in the market for the Ethereum chart as well. Keep your eye out on the chart for Ethereum. We'll obviously be sending out signals, and if you've got the indicator, keep an eye out on those flags for buys and sells. And again, as always, if you could give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to keep up to date with what's going on in the crypto world. And we'll see you guys in the next video.